Good morning, everyone. Happy Supercharged Manifesting Monday, the start of a new week and a different location. I'm on out on the road today, and I did everything I could. I tried to get the natural light. Try to get the best view in the hotel room, and here you have it. This is it. I'm so excited this morning because we're doing somewhat of a replay. Many of you, I think, tried to join us last week when I had Adam Markel, my mentor, on, and Facebook was not playing nice. And it was too important of a conversation for us to just let that go by the wayside. So Adam generously agreed to be back with us this morning, 8 a.m. That is no small feat for anyone. so, so I credit this. It's kind of like either I've done something really right or I'm going to owe Adam one at some point in the future. But welcome all of you that are joining. Happy Monday. As you know, in the Money family, we say Happy Money Day. So go ahead and give each other some love as you're coming in. And I am going to, there we go. There's everyone commenting. Just give each other some love. And one of Adam's mantra, which I have my things to talk about, we literally have 20 minutes, but we'll see if we can fit it in, is Adam has taught me and many people all over the world this one thing about love and our life. And Adam, just like cue the mic to share a little bit about that at some point during our conversation this morning, because no matter what's happening in life, there is one thing we can say every morning when we wake up that Adam taught me, and I hope he'll share with you. All right, so I see that you guys are all here. I'm going to bring Adam on screen. Good morning.
Hey there.
This is what it looks like 8 a.m. in the morning on a Monday morning.
Happy Manifesting Monday, right? Or
There you go. Happy Manifesting Monday.
you
All right.
manifested me at 8 a.m. I don't know how.
There are companies all over the world right now trying to do what I just did, right?
They got to pay a lot more for that.
A lot. Every one of you watching, this is what love looks like, right? This is what
Oh,
love looks like. Thank you so much, Adam, for doing this. And it would be really, because I know so many of you missed the conversation last week, and the fact that Adam committed to coming back this morning, it would mean so much to me. And I'm pretty sure to Adam, if you would share this video, tag a friend in. We're talking about your resilient, how to create a resilience bank account. And I'm really excited to learn from Adam today. And I'm also going to ask if we could put the link to the YouTube video in the comments so that everyone watching can see the conversation we had last Thursday. Because literally, we're going to probably say a few similar things, but this is a whole other conversation. And I'd love for you guys to go back and watch that video too. So literally, you get 2 for 1 this morning. Mwah! My gift to all of you. So check out the comments for the link to the YouTube video, and you can watch that afterwards. So Adam, I would love for you to start. And as I'm saying that, I realize so many people who might have missed last week are like, so who's this Adam guy? Like, who is like great looking guy, seems to have good energy, but who is he? Tasha, thanks for bringing him on. So I'll share from my heart, and then I'll ask Adam if there's anything that you want to add by way of just sharing a little bit about you. For me, Adam has been a mentor for the last 4 years. It's 3.5 going on 4 years. It's really incredible what he's been able to help me do in my personal development, in growing our business. Um, I mean, he is one of those people that, can seem, when you hear his bio and you get all this, professional stuff, can seem so untouchable. And yet, for me, he has been the best guide that I've had the last 4 years, the perfect person for where I was and where I needed to be. And he is just all things amazing. So thank you for being here, Adam. And share, what would you like people to know about you?
oh gosh, what do I? You know what? In the interest of time, I'll just say I'm a human. I'm almost human. That's
Oh my gosh, best intro ever. I'm a human. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I love it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, humanity is so important right now. We're got so many things going on in the world that are difficult to reconcile. Right
Yeah.
here in our home, if you live in the United States, right here in North America and obviously elsewhere in the world. So our hearts are always kind of full up in many ways with this irreconcilable thing of living, thing of just being a human. So being a human, showing up as a person who has compassion and kindness and cares about other people, genuinely cares about other people. I think that's a good thing to aspire to. I happen to also be a husband. I married my college sweetheart this summer will be 33 years ago, which is
Wow.
wild, because our love and our relationship I mean, it was great then because that's why we fell in love, but it's better now and better in ways that I could never have known or predicted at age 20 or whatever. So, and we have 4 healthy kids. I run a business called More Love Media. I've been blessed. I was a lawyer for 18 years and reinvented my career. Many people may have many people have written their own pivot stories, but I wrote a book called Pivot some years ago. That was a good start for me, in that it gave me access to a lot of people around the globe to speak and all that kind of thing. And now we've got this brand new thing, which took a lot of years to produce, this book, Change Proof, which it's interesting. The backstory of this is that in the book Pivot, in this first book that came out in 2016, there's a chapter about resilience. And while I wasn't predicting in any way, shape, or form what ended up happening when the pandemic started, I was already incubating the ideas for a book that was more about resilience, because that was the bigger story that I wasn't telling. And when the pandemic did start, and I was in the really knee deep, elbow deep in this book with McGraw-Hill, I was just, I knew it was going to become my life's work. And at this point, I feel like that's the thing that I'm going to be. I've been researching it. I speak about it. I, get to share things with people all over the world all the time. I feel like this is what I'm going to be doing for a very long time.
I love it. Awesome. All right, human friend of mine. I'm going to start us off with a really perfect segue into our conversation this morning. So if you're just joining, we're talking about how to create a resilient bank account. Please share, tag a friend, literally say, come learn about your resilience bank account. But this is the start of Adam's book, Change Proof. And hang on a second, there we go, Change Proof. And I love this little excerpt that I'm going to read. And I'm going to ask you, Adam, if you could just kick us off with the Rip Current story, right?
Sure.
I think that's a great place to start. And then we'll talk about what's a resilience bank account. So like a rip current, everything in life isn't always going to go according to plan. No matter how well manicured your plans, they are going to change.
Shocking.
Yes. The Tao says it perfectly. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. I think right there we could end the book. Right?
True.
Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. And then your comment, Adam, is that's a painful lesson that you had to learn. So share with us the Rip Current story.
I was 19 years old. 19. I was a lifeguard. I was working at a place called Jones Beach. And the first summer I was there, we lost someone in a rip current. Somebody went down and under the surface of the water, and we lost sight of them. And we had to do a search and rescue, our whole crew. And ultimately, after searching for well over an hour, we had to reopen the beach, and we didn't find him. It was a truly devastating moment for that family. It was devastating for all of us. We were very young at the time. Most people were about my age. Most of the lifeguards there were young, and we'd never experienced that kind of grief, that kind of pain and loss that was something we couldn't control. We felt like we were out of control. And yet we still had to reopen the beach and get back up in the lifeguard stand and continue to work and do our job for the rest of that day and the rest of that summer. So we had to be resilient, though I wouldn't have used those words. I wouldn't have called it that. And we had to, that summer, we learned how to be resilient. And so one thing that lifeguards know, especially ocean lifeguards, is that when you're caught in a rip current, it's instinct for people to want to fight against it, to want to swim into safety. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Because ultimately, when you fight that rip current, you get exhausted, you get worn out. And I think right now we're living in a time when people have been fighting in many ways. The changes that are all around us. There have been more changes probably in the last couple of years than in many of our lives collectively. And fighting it is like fighting that rip current. Ultimately, you can't outlast it. You can't outswim it. You just can't. You ultimately just become exhausted to the point or depleted to the point where you're almost burned out. And that's where I find a lot of people are these days. A lot of people whether they're entrepreneurs running or operating a business of their own, or they're working for someone else. And the counterintuitive thing that lifeguards learn and then ultimately have to show other people is that when you're in that rip current, you have to lay back. You have to relax your body, look up at the sky, breathe, because ultimately that current is going to spit you out. It will pull you and then it will spit you out. It will spit you out on the side of that current so that you can then swim in. The other thing that you can do is take a completely different tack, a different approach. And that is to, instead of trying to swim against the current, which you cannot do, you can swim sideways. You can go parallel to the shore, and then you'll find yourself out of that rip current as well. But to do that, we have to pause. We have to take stock in our situation and reset. We have to ask ourselves the question, what are my options? What don't I see? What's the creative opportunities? The question that my wife, Randy, always asks me. And then we have to choose a course of action. Sometimes that is to take an action, and sometimes it's to lay back and do nothing, to recover our strength, to reset ourselves, and to restore, regenerate our energy so that we can make the swim when we have better conditions to do that. So I think that's a good launching off point for us, because resilience is not about endurance. This is the one message I want to make sure everybody gets, even though that's how we often define it, as this ability to sort of take a punch and get back up. Resilience is not about winning the Night Owl Award. It's not about going farther than someone else can. Resilience is actually about recovery. And that's after having studied more than 4,000 business leaders and executives, people who are high achievers from Fortune 50 companies to startups for the last several years leading up to this book. We've learned that it's about recovery, and it's about actually ritualizing our recovery. So I think it's a good lead in to talk about what the resilience bank account actually is, because it's in a word, just like that story is a metaphor for this book, Change Proof. The resilience bank account is a metaphor for how it is that we approach resilience. It's, if you think about your bank account, we all think about our bank account for a second here. If you take out more than you put in, what happens, Tasha?
You go into the negative, you go into the red, it does not happy feelings.
Well, I don't know about you, but my bank sends me a little love letter. That's what happens.
Is that what you call it?
It's from my lawyer days, okay? It's a love letter. If you spend more than you save, ultimately, as you say, you go into the red, and then you get a little love letter, and you also get dinged with a little fine. You know, you get a little
Like,
pain.
wait a second. Aren't you sending me this letter because I don't have any money? Why are you also asking me for more money now?
Exactly. It's, you know what? It's right out of, and I'm not a religious person, but I love how the Bible has so many really interesting things that are applicable. And I know that you speak about the science of getting rich and spiritual principles of manifestation. So there's a place in the Bible that says, to he who hath, more shall be given. And to he who does not have, more, even that which that person has will be taken away. It seems like cruelty, but you've just described it.
Yeah.
Because in that situation where you're overdraft, you're overdrawn, what does the bank do? It doesn't just send you a little love letter that says, hey, life happens. We get it. You're in a tough spot. They go, you're overdrawn, and now we want to ding you $25 on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the resilience bank account is a metaphor. You look at it and think from this moment forward, I hope, that what you have to do when it comes to resilience, when it comes to creating these recovery rituals, the kind of rituals that enable you to go farther, to develop greater capacity greater productivity. You're able to just continue to iterate new things in a world of constant and never-ending change. That takes a lot of energy, Tasha, to do that and to do it daily. I know you do it. You regenerate yourself and you regenerate your energy. In fact, you and I, not so long ago, we created an energy map. You remember that?
I'm literally thinking that right now.
Yeah, exactly. So with a resilience bank account, you have to think that you've got to put more in. You've got to make more deposits than you make withdrawals. That means, and a deposit is a recovery, some moment of recovery. That can be 10 seconds. That could be all of us right now just going to our ears. Just do this. I know it's going to feel funny. And it might even be like, what on earth is this guy sharing with us? But when we do this, you see, our ears need a little love. We don't touch them nearly enough.
No.
In fact, we hardly ever touch them, except maybe if you're putting on earrings or something like that. But if you give yourself 30 seconds of just this little bit of ear love, and I mean literally squeezing it, pinching it, prodding it, it changes the dendrites in your brain. If you close your eyes when you do it, you take a nice deep breath as you're doing it, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, filling up your belly. You just do this for a minute. It's what we call a state change. It's a moment where the neural pathways of your brain are resetting. That's 1 minute. That's the equivalent of a deposit into your resilience bank account. Wow. Now, there are other deposits. You can take a 20-minute walk. Probably the best deposit you can ever make to your bank account is simply to walk, to drink a glass of water upon waking. And I don't mean sipping it. I mean gulping a glass of water, early in the morning in the first 10 or 15 minutes of your day to flush out the toxins, or drink something green. You can pray when you eat. I love to pray. Pray is, to me, giving gratitude. You can call it what you want, but to eat slowly, to chew your food, as our parents used to tell us. These are things that enable us to make art considered deposits into your resilience bank account. Now, what's a withdrawal? Well, we know what that is. Sitting in front of the computer screen, checking our email messages and our text messages obsessively, spending a lot of time on social media can sometimes be a deposit, but often we find research tells us it's a withdrawal. So it's the idea, this concept is you deposit more than you withdraw. And if you keep that in mind, if you just do that one thing, if you ask yourself during the day, how am I intentionally, consciously making deposits to my resilience bank account? I think you're going to find that you'll be less depleted, more capable of doing something we all have to do now more than ever in our lifetimes, and that is to think critically. Because the problems, the challenges of our lives, they're not getting any less complex. And right now, problems are good. Somebody said that to me years ago, and I wish I could remember who said it, but problems are good because they show you exactly where your problems are. And often it is that we live in sort of a resistance, or we bury our heads in the sand, and we are intentionally unconscious of some of those things, or we overlook them. But when we know where our problems are, that gives us a resource immediately to solving them. But solving them requires we have energy. We have to be able to have energy at any point in time. Ultimately, with the volume of things that are happening in our lives and in the world right now, we've got to be able to outperform our challenges. That's what has to happen. To do that, you have to use resilience, because resilience is your unsung hero. For us at the beach, we lost that person, and we vowed that day that we would never let anyone go down in our water again. I was fortunate to work at that beach, Jones Beach, for 7 additional summers while kids were being born in our home, and I was still in law school and all that kind of thing. And we never lost anybody again. No one ever went down on our watch, because we learned something that day and that summer, and that was how to toggle back and forth. And this is something that you and I spoke about on Friday, I believe. And that's part of that YouTube video, so we won't go into it now. But we have to toggle back and forth like a light switch, on and off throughout the day with our energy, our E zone to our R zone, our energy zone to our rest and recovery zone. If we do that, we're constantly contributing to that resilience bank account. We're constantly in a surplus. We never get love letters from the bank. We don't get dinged with penalty. And the first part of that statement from the Bible becomes true as well, that to she who hath, more shall be given. So the more that you create resilience, the more resilience you have. The more energy you create, the more energy you have. Resilience ultimately grows resilience. It begets resilience. It breeds more resilience. And most importantly, it becomes a model for those people around you. It gives other people permission to do the same thing. See, we're all playing sort of there's a game or a fiction that we're buying into, that everybody thinks that they can just go and go and go and go and go. And you're the winner if you can go farther than someone else. But ultimately, what the pandemic has shown us is that most people can't do that. And ultimately, when you run out of gas, it can be ugly. It really can, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. When you are dry, when your tank is empty, it is very difficult to then do the thing that we most want to do as people. And that is to give to others, to give of ourselves to the world. You can't do that when you're serving from a half empty cup or an empty tank.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much there. I want to share because there's something that you said that I really want to share with others. You said, for we become models for other people, and so many people in our community, in our money family, have heard me say, I'm committed to taking the summers off. I build our business around the ability for me to take the summers off. And I can't remember what the circumstances were, but I was in absolute deficit, right? My bank account was in absolute resilience deficit. And Adam, as my mentor at the time, encouraged me to create an energy map for the year. So when are you in your highest energy, Tasha? When are you in your peaks? And what's your plan for recovery? Like, map out the entire year. And we talk so much about easy and relaxed in our community. And I just want to echo what Adam just says, that it takes being committed to recovery, to your resilience rituals. Like, I'm on the road today. I'm here for an event, and I woke up and I went for my little gym and went for my 15-minute walk. And what I love about a resilience ritual is that was an hour of the day that's for me will fill me up for the next 12 hours. So it's not even like an equivalent amount of time, which is amazing. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, people think in balance terms, and I call BS on balance, because
Yeah.
do you ever season your food with just the same amount of salt to the same amount of pepper? I mean, who does that? So it's not about balance. This thing, like you're describing, it's about harmony. And yes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of self-care can pay a 12-hour dividend any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So Adam, how would we talk a lot about easy and relaxed in our community, and everyone loves that, right? It's so appealing. Really, I can succeed in an easy and relaxed way. Can you tie in this idea of a resilience ritual and self-care, and how that really is the secret to success, to the easy and relaxed
Yeah.
success that we all want?
Well, there is not a single success story that I've experienced in my own life or that I've studied as part of being a researcher that does not involve healthy resilience.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of it. And we have to know where we start from. So I think that the place for all of us, every change begins with awareness. You
Mhm.
cannot create a change without healthy awareness. That's why burying our heads in the sand is never the answer. Resisting change, a thing that is constant, that we never going to be an answer. So to me, the base for us is this 3-minute resilience assessment. It's a tool that we created some years ago. Maybe we could put that in the chat
Yeah.
as well.
I'm going to put it up right here on screen for everyone.
Yeah, beautiful. Resiliencerank.com. It's simple. It's 16 questions. It takes 3 minutes. And it's broken down into 4 zones, 4 resilience zones: mental,
Well, wait one
emotional.
second, Adam. Is it on changeproof.com? Because
You,
that's what I have.
you can get it there as well. Yeah, if
Okay.
you go to changeproof.com, you can, absolutely. And it's broken down into 4 zones: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. 4 questions in each zone. And then ultimately, we have to sort of take stock in the fact that we are not resilient all the time, and we're not resilient in each of these areas all the time. And one of the things that we do when we have that awareness is ask ourselves that question: what's a change that I can make? What's a ritual that I can create to be depositing more than I'm withdrawing emotionally or physically? We've done this study with more than 4,000 people, and what we find is that across the board, the median score is about a 64 out of 100, which means that about 2/3 of folks are doing okay, meaning in those four areas collectively in the aggregate, people are doing okay. And yet there's still 1/3, this gap between 64 and 100, that leads people to be susceptible to acute stress, to
Mhm.
events of acute stress. And I think in the moment that we're living in, the moment in time, the moment in the world, that we have to be working on our resilience to acute stress before we're going to need it. Meaning we
Yeah.
have to develop resilience before we need it next, because the likelihood that there'll be an acute event in our own personal lives or in the lives of people around us or in the world itself, it's pretty high. And certainly if you own or operate a business, you know that there's so many things that are unpredictable. And what I find is that business leaders often find themselves either teetering on the verge of burnout or are already there because they've not taken the time to assess, find out how they're doing in one of those areas. Again, our bank account is interesting, our physical bank account, because when we're overdrawn, we get that little love letter, we get that notice. But even if we're not overdrawn, we get a statement, and every month we can assess how are we
Mhm.
doing in terms of the
Mhm.
goals that we have for ourselves. But we don't get a statement when it comes to our resilience, the level of our energy, our capacity to bounce forward, not just bounce back. Who wants to bounce back? What are we going back to? You know, our world is imperfect and is becoming more perfect because of evolution, because of the evolution of our thinking and our consciousness. So going forward is the only direction. That's the only place we want to be. But to do that, my position is we've got to be more, meaning we have to show up as that much more energized, more able to handle whatever the world is going to throw at us at that moment. Doing that means we cannot be depleted. Depletion does not lead to good decision making. When we are depleted, we are as imperfect as we are that much more imperfect because we are that much more impatient. We make decisions too quickly. We make them in a reactive way. We make them often from a place of emotion as opposed to from our hearts. That's what you and I, in that last talk we had, which is on YouTube, we talked about pause, ask, choose as a process, as a
Yeah.
way to simply, even in the moment when you're under acute stress. We use the example of Will Smith. That night, that was a moment of acute stress for him. I don't mean getting up and slapping Chris Rock. I mean sitting in his chair and seeing his wife being poked fun of. That was the tipping point. That was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back for him. And because he wasn't resilient in that moment, his career is a little upside down. His life is a little upside down. And now, again, to he who hath and to he who hath not, in this moment, Will Smith did not, he, in that moment, he did not have harmony, and he's
Mhm.
only had less harmony since that moment. And
Mhm.
I'm pulling for him. I really believe he's going to turn things around. He's got too much self-awareness, and he's too strong a person. So I'm going to root for his turning things around, and we all root for that anyway. We love a comeback story, and he'll make a great one. But it was a great example of even a person who's so successful and would be the envy of most people
Yeah.
could succumb to that acute stress moment because he was depleted. And that's what I truly believe. When I was interviewed for Psychology Today to talk about this, I said that's what I think happened. Will Smith didn't wake up that morning and go, I want to trash my career. I want to hit my friend. I want to, embarrass myself and my family on, in front of the world. No, he
Yeah.
didn't do that. It just happened like that. And I think when it comes to our lives, we've got to make better decisions. I know you help people making better decisions with their money. They make better decisions about their thoughts around how they manifest the things in their lives that they want. Um, that's a process. It's not something we can just count on. Oh, in the moment that I'm under stress, I'll just make a great decision. Anybody knows who's been a parent or a business owner knows, you're going to be tested like that all the time. And the
Yeah.
one thing that I believe we can do to truly navigate that territory is develop practices for becoming change proof, which doesn't mean that you're resistant to change or you're agnostic to it even, or you tolerate it. It means you embrace it. And you embrace it because you understand that you're prepared for it. When other people aren't, you are, and that makes you capable of being a leader. And we all know we need great leadership in the world right now. Greater leadership.
Greater leadership. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I want to encourage everyone. I love what Adam said. Awareness of your starting point. Just where am I today? So go to, hold on, let me put this back up for y'all. So changeproof.com. Take the assessment, and you can get the book there. Want to get the book? Hold on, let me see. There we go. You want to get the book.
Do you love the book, Tasha, by the way?
I am loving the book. I actually got to Resilience Bank Account and I was like, wait a minute. I've been reading this over and over and over again. So I love the book. Recommend that you all get it. And I love that Adam has an assessment just to bring your awareness to where am I in this moment. Start practicing. And Adam shared a really great one, which hang on a second, because pause, ask, choose. Yeah. Diane and I have a thing where we'll go, okay, well, we're not making any decisions today. We're not making any decisions today. And I think that's a really great advice for all of us. And one of the things that you said on our conversation last Thursday was, with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, and it's crazy to think it's been 2 years, life as we know it. I got into Uber yesterday and the first thing the guy said was, no mask, huh? I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's changed. Like, I don't know which way it is, upside or down at any moment, but it was just such an awareness of all the change that we've all gone through in the last 2 years. And that's just life. One of the things that was so great about our conversation last Thursday was, and you said it so well, to resist change is to suffer. To resist, it's the only thing that we're guaranteed in life, is that there will be change. And how can we always have practices and rituals that prepare us for it? So I'm going to encourage you all, go get the book, go take the assessment. And I, as you know, love affirming things. I love Adam's shirt. Did you guys notice that? Move your hand, Adam. There we go. So our affirmation, we're all going to type, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, I am resilient. Go ahead. Fill the comments with it. I am resilient. 111 on the screen. I love the angel numbers, because we're going to read the book. We're going to do the assessment. We're going to do all the things. I think before we even do the assessment, just declaring our desire to be that is one of the most powerful first steps that we can make.
Indeed.
Any last thoughts, Adam? It's 8:32. I managed to get you for 30 minutes on a Monday morning.
So, Tasha, you mentioned it at the outset. So I'll just say that one of the first rituals that I created when I was reinventing, I wrote a book called Pivot. It was about reinvention, career, and other areas of life. And I was a lawyer, and I was a miserable lawyer who ended up in a hospital having what I thought was a heart attack that was really a panic attack. It was an anxiety attack, or as my wife Randy likes to call it, a fart attack, a fake heart attack. But shortly after that, when nothing had really changed, even though I got so scared, and it was a wake-up call, I was watching a movie late one night, this movie, Jerry Maguire, and there's a scene at the end that we all know those great lines from Jerry Maguire, show me the money, right?
Yeah.
You had me at hello, and the one that Randy and I always poke fun of is, you complete me. I said to Randy after that movie, do I complete you? And she's like, no.
No.
It's classic, right?
It's such a great line, though.
But it's such a great Hollywood line. We meet this guy at the end of the movie as Dickie's mentor, who's wearing this old blue seersucker suit, and he's got a name plaque on his desk that says Dickie Fox. Dickie Fox. And Dickie says to Jerry, he goes, in all honesty, I've failed as much as I've succeeded, but I love my wife and I love my life. And I wish you my kind of success. And the night that I was watching that, I was not able to sleep. And as soon as I heard those words, I turned the TV off and I went to bed. And I got up the next morning, I put my feet on the floor. And instead of feeling what had become a familiar start of the day feeling for me, which was feet on the floor, and then I would feel sort of tenseness in my body. I would feel angst, sometimes even dread. This particular morning when I woke up and I put my feet on the floor, it's like these words flew out of my mouth the way you just did it before. I just declared out loud something I never said before. I said, I love my life. 4 words. I love my life. And to this day, this is 12 years ago, every single day when I put my feet on the floor, those are the first words that come out of my mouth. And that is my resilience ritual to start the day, my waking, my rising ritual every single day is I love my life. That takes what, 5 seconds to say. And that's it. And it's restorative. It's like a buoy that I can hold on to anytime I
Mm.
get caught in the riptide of fear, of doubt, of worry. And we all know what that's like. So those statements, those I am statements, they're so, so powerful, Tasha.
Oh my gosh, and everyone's typing that. Like I felt my body respond to the truth of that. I love my life.
Yeah.
And everyone's typing it. So I totally forgot about that. Thank you for remembering to share that. Oh my goodness. Mwah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Adam.
Mwah.
Thanks everyone that's been here live and watching the replay. Please follow Adam on Instagram. I think it's at Adam Markel, right?
Adam D. Markel on Instagram, or Adam
Okay.
Markel on Facebook,
All right.
wherever.
Adam D. Markel
Yeah.
on Instagram. Yeah. I've been loving following you all over the world and the country as you're speaking everywhere. It's really nice to see the way you share your life. So go follow Adam there too. And thank you all for being here. Thanks, Adam. Have a great Monday, everyone. Bye.